Sweden's Deputy Prime Minister Ebba Busch is also here with the delegation. She joins us tonight exclusively. Hi, Deputy Prime Minister. It's a pleasure to meet you and a pleasure to welcome you to our studio. Thank you for making the time.
Well, thank you, and thank you for a warm welcome to Canada, despite the cold weather. Yeah. I don't think I've ever seen so many Swedish flags outside of Sweden, so we're very, very happy about the warm welcome.
Well, I will start on that point, because I think that as Canadians, we're used to seeing companies come and pitch something that they would like Canada to purchase. In this case, it's not just the company, it's literally, quite literally, royalty, and then, you know, some of the most important people in the Swedish government, including yourself. Why is this something you felt you wanted to be here for?
Well, we brought in the heavy artillery. We brought in the king and queen of Sweden. It doesn't get any better than that. But I would say that I mean, everyone knows these are truly turbulent and quite tough and challenging times. And in those times, you need to choose your friends wisely. And Sweden is choosing Canada. And I think rightly so. And we're also seeing a very strategic work from Canada, and not least from Prime Minister Carney himself, in choosing his friends globally now very, very strategically. And I think Sweden is a great partner to Canada. We actually used to share the same bedrock. Did you know that? Before we were separated by the Atlantic. We were used to be called Rodinia, which is also could be translated into family. And in that sense, I think Canada is quite a bit of family to Sweden. We share a lot of the same values when it comes to, we're both high trust, egalitarian societies, and we believe in that openness, but that openness should not be used against us. And I think now we need to choose our friends very, very wisely. So when we come to America, we come to Canada now.
That's quite a statement. I want to get right to the heart of the matter, which in my view, and I think many Canadians would share, is the possibility of Canada buying fighter jets from a Swedish company, in Saab. And I wanted to ask, you know, right off the bat, if it will be possible, let's say Canada decides to go down that route. I mean, we have an order for 88 fighter jets from the United States, but 16 are coming. That means there's another, you know, 70 plus that could be, you know, that would fill our capability need. Is that a gap that Saab could fill?
The short answer is yes. Sweden is open for business, and I mean, JAS Gripen is probably the best fighter jet in the world, and I think we are prepared to increase that production. And I mean, Prime Minister Carney has made it very clear, and me speaking to Minister Jolie as well, that would also then entail job opportunities here in Canada. Working for Canada in the interest of the Canadians, but of course it would be a great opportunity for the strategic partnership to go from paper to action between Sweden and Canada.
And I do have questions on the opportunities as you just described it, but I did want to ask, just jumping off the same sort of idea around capacity or capability. What I garner from your answer is that Sweden could fulfill, you know, that number of jets. The timeline is significant as well, because we do have a capability gap here in Canada. Can the Gripen do what the F-35s would have done in the same amount of time?
Well, I would say that Gripen comes with a slightly different set of capacities. It's a highly intricate and highly sophisticated system-in-system operations. That if you have ever flown a fighter jet like this, I have not. Obviously, it is not my line of work.
Me either. Yeah.
But I mean, the men and women that are set to actually defend our countries, defend our values, the ones that we have seen operating the airspace above Poland now, for example, where Sweden is participating in an air policing mission there, and FLF in the Baltic area, where Canada is leading. I mean, it's something that is very difficult to get in another fighter jet, which makes the Gripen very special. But I mean, this would be a commitment between Sweden and Canada to also increase the tempo of permitting and the process to actually get these produced and up and running into space. But we're prepared to do that work, and Saab is well represented this week as well.
Might it take a little bit longer? Do I garner from what you're saying, though, just because of the fact that it has a different set of requirements?
No, I mean, Saab would be the ones that would have to answer for details of that sort. But the way that we have looked into this together with our Canadian counterparts, we think that we can match what is needed for the Canadian interests.
And when you talk about, and certainly the company has spoken about this very recently to my colleague who was over in Sweden, the possibility of creating Canadian jobs, that the federal government has almost made it a stipulation of whatever agreement goes forward. Can you expand on what you envision for that? Like for Canadians in particular who are watching tonight, wondering what this means for them, how would you answer that?
No, to put it very, very bluntly, it would mean Canadian jobs in Canada. It would be a Swedish fighter jet, world class, but it would be a true partnership, and that is what we're saying now. We're friends, we're allies, we're true partners, and that is what we're working for with the strategic partnership that was signed between my Prime Minister Ulf Kristersson and Prime Minister Mark Carney today as well. So it would entail concrete job opportunities here.
And I know in the one instance when it comes to the fighter jet, for example, the pitch is for a certain number of jobs, but we're reading reports now that there could be an additional pitch for a different type of aircraft, a surveillance one in the global eye. I'm wondering from where you sit, kind of bigger picture, is the idea of this relationship, you know, job creation in a country, like making things, you know, Swedish companies making things in Canada, is that a harbinger of things to come? Like, do you envision, best case scenario, more of that?
Yes, and that is what we're hoping to get out of this also. This is the reason why we come with a large and highly qualified business delegation this week as well. Sweden is truly open for business, and coming back to the matter of increased competitiveness, truly serving our citizens, the Swedish people and the Canadian people. I think Europe, for far too long, we've played in sort of, to speak Canadian, to speak hockey terms, we've played in box play, and it's time to get out of that and, well, come into power play instead. And then we need to choose our friends very, very wisely. And you know, we're a small country, but we're a very smart country. We're the second in the world when it comes to innovation. The reason that we can make fighter jets, submarines, AVAC systems, that we also send satellites into space, although we're a 10 million people country, the reason we can deliver all of this because we choose our friends very, very specifically. And we'd like to partner up even closer with Canada to make sure that we have value chains in a double sense. Value, economic value for our citizens, but also value with countries with whom we share the same values.
Do you think this moment for Sweden and Canada would have come without Donald Trump?
Well, in part, maybe no. I mean, I was here, I'm coming back to Canada. I was here as minister in my current position just 2 years ago with Minister Champagne, looking into a lot of possible opportunities then. A lot of that has gone from words to action and is also the reason why we are here. But of course, I mean, we still see the US as our friends in Sweden, but they have come so much more unpredictable. And we are looking for partners that are not only transactional, like how can I profit for you, but rather how can we both profit from this. And this is also the message that Prime Minister Carney is sending throughout the world with all of the partnerships that he and the works that he's doing internationally. Is it needs to benefit the both of us, and that's why I think Canada and Sweden also are a good match.
Have they indicated to you how soon they will make a decision?
No, and I think, I mean, this is decisions that have to be made in a very orderly manner. But I mean, Sweden is in Daft Punk mode, so we're ready to go, you know, faster, stronger, harder, better, and that's what we're looking for now.
One final question, kind of bridging your last two answers. So the pressure on us is not just a money thing, right? It's that we have, you know, great interoperability with the potential purchase of F-35s with the United States. And particularly from a continental defense perspective, from a NORAD perspective, that is significant. I had the U.S. ambassador essentially say, like, NORAD could be up for discussion if Canada pulls out of this deal. And I say that only because I know you will be well aware of the sort of pressure we face in making this decision. And I'm wondering how, if you were in our shoes, you might navigate that.
Well, I believe that the ones that cave under a pressure from a so-called friend that would actually cause true harm, then that part will also then show quite great weakness, and that weakness will be taken advantage of. And I say this as a country who have been a very close ally to the NATO, but that we're not full-on members. We stay forever grateful for the firm support that we got from Canada entering and to become a full worthy member of NATO. But these are challenging times for real. A lot is at stake. And we have not war within the EU, but we have war on European soil. And we know that Putin will not stop at the border of Ukraine if he wins. So for us, I mean, I mean, Canada needs to make their own decision, and Sweden will respect that. But that also says something. We do not threaten our way into a deal. We stand here with open arms, with a truly competitive proposition on the table.
I will leave it on that note. A pleasure, Deputy Prime Minister. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.